I don't wanna be a fool for you. Just another player in your game for two. You may hate me, but it ain't no lie, baby. Bye, 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 bye. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Bergs here from The Casual Athlete, back at it again for another week of tips and predictions. This week, it's round 17, and as you can tell from my intro, singing goodbye to my tipping season at the moment. It is not going the way I expected it to right now. So many results going against the grain this week. It was just an absolute mess. But before we get into my video, guys, just a reminder to like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, whether your fix be fantasy tipping, general NRL content, we are there for you. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Let's just take a quick snapshot of how I did last week. Not going to go into too much detail about it. I did back the Dolphins, and that was the only upset that I took this week, guys. I thought I'd show them a little bit of confidence, considering I hadn't done that a lot this season. But I've got to tell you, they were so close again. They kept it real with the Storm, and that's all I could have really asked for. Again, the Storm get away in a close one. For the Warriors, wow, that was a result, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. I don't know what was happening with the Warriors. They came out, and I could tell very early on when Khan Pereira went over in the 20th minute or so. That was the first try of the game. He went over in the corner and ran all the way around to the post. That told me that the Warriors were not up for it that afternoon, and geez, it was just an absolute mess from there on, and I won't harp on them too much, but good on the Titans for getting a massive win here. Biggest win in club history, and Khan Pereira equaling Jordan Atkins' famous debut back in 2009 with 4 tries. He is the leading try scorer in the NRL at the moment. Unbelievable for Khan Pereira, and he should be in the team each and every week. I do not care what Des says at the moment. Put him in there. He is unbelievable. For the Roosters, they got a win in a wet one on the Central Coast, and I got to say, it was a dismal affair. It wasn't really a great game. I guess the talking point coming out of it is Pauga's send-off, and once again, Grant Atkins has sent off another Roosters player. I think it's the Roosters-Dogs matchup. Someone has to get sent off, and it's most likely from the Roosters most of the time, but Sam Walker was outstanding in this game. He really controlled it with the boot in this one. For the Rabbitohs, geez, that was also scrappy, and I do not want to go into detail about this game, but we do have to talk about it here. I just think that it was one of those games where I thought there were too many outs for the Seagulls, and that's basically why the Rabbitohs got the win. It was scrappy. They defended well. That's probably the most positive thing you can say about this. They kept that duck-egg scoreline, and no doubt Ben Hornby was very happy about that in the press conference. But the Rabbitohs, they keep rising. 4 wins in a row at the moment. And for the Raiders on Sunday, geez, they, again, similar to the Cowboys game last week, they just didn't come out with any energy whatsoever, whereas the Tigers, young, vibrant, they were on the ball. They took the game by the scruff of the neck, and the Raiders were out of it before they even knew it. They tried a little bit of a comeback when Seyfarth got sent to the bin in the second half. They scored 3 tries during that period, and it looked like they were going on a tear to the rest of the game, but man, it just ended with an Adam Dewey intercept try, 90 metres on his return game. First game in 14 months, and he's taking it 90 metres to the house. Awesome moment, and no doubt Adam Dewey was happy about that one, as were Tigers fans. But 2 out of 5 this week, guys. Not my best effort, and I've got to say, a lot of people were pretty disappointed in a couple of those upsets, mainly the Warriors and the Raiders. A lot of people would have had them winning those games, but let's move on to this week. But before I get you guys onto next week's tips, let's just have a look at the tipping comp that we are running on NRLtipping.com this year. Not much movement at the top, as Chris still holds firm in first place, North Sydney Bears. We got Corn on the Cobbo moving into second position, whereas Jay Fitz is now in third. I think Jeff may have been going for a couple of upsets this week, but keep putting in your tips, guys, each and every week. I do update everybody about how the tipping comp is going each week. So let's get into this week's tips, guys. First up, it's Origin on Wednesday night, and you know where we'll be watching it, at our new sponsors, Swing City. What's going on, guys? Bergs and Longy here from The Casual Athlete, and today we're coming to you from our brand new sponsor.
That's right, we've got Swing City in Bella Vista on board, and I've got to say, after 2 hours on the range, I love this place. brand new facilities, tons of games, heaps of food and drinks, and they've got a State of Origin offer on too. You going to be here next Wednesday, mate?
100%. Let's get into it.
So will I. Let's go.
Swing City is the Hills District's newest destination for fun and excitement. Have a hit down on the awesome golf range that provides simulations to really test out those golfing skills. If golf really isn't your speed, then head over to the amusement shed for some awesome arcade games, or hit the outdoor mini golf course to really hone in that short game. Take a seat and enjoy some food and drink in the heated outdoor courtyard where you can watch anything you want on the outdoor screens. Book a group bay now for your next friends, family, or corporate event, and with July school holidays on the horizon, Swing City is surely the place to be. Yeah, that's right, guys. Come on down to see us at Swing City this Wednesday night for State of Origin. Get a beer, get some food, and get the footy into you. I'll hopefully be wearing a beanie as it will be outside again. Let me know if you guys like the beanie look. Trying a little something different for this video. As for the matchup for this State of Origin game, guys, it is being held at the MCG, and it is a must-win for New South Wales in this one. The thing going in their favour, they have won the last 2 games at the MCG. And I gotta say, with Latrell coming back into the side and a couple of the changes they make, I do like the New South Wales team to get a win here. They have to win. They can't let Queensland win 3 series in a row. It's supposed to be our time at the moment. I just think with Origin 1, it was a bit of a misstep on Suali'i's part, and that was really it. The game was over 7 minutes into the contest, and unfortunately, it was pretty much done and dusted from that point. And there's been a lot of talk in the media in the last couple of weeks. I think we've successfully ruffled Billy Slater's feathers, and maybe the Queensland forward pack isn't up to it. We were winning that forward battle in game 1, and I think that's where we need to attack. We need to be direct. We need to go down the middle. We can't go on the outside of Queensland, and we need to get Latrell running at Valentine Holmes. He's not in the best form at the moment, Val, so hopefully Latrell can steamroll him this week. Let's get on the Blues here. I think they're going to get a big win in this one, 13+. The first game of NRL Round 17 starts on Friday night this week with the Dogs taking on the Sharks at Accor Stadium, which has become a cauldron of chaos lately. They got a record crowd there last time they played there. Let's hope to see some similar numbers in this one. Over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Sharks have the better record. They've won 8 out of those last 10 games. They are also on a 6-game winning streak against the Dogs and also got a win earlier this season against them. But for the Doggies, I do think that they can be very positive at the moment. They did come up against a juggernaut team this year, the Roosters. They did have the chance to go into the top 4 with a win, but they were just missing those key players that have been playing very well for them. Josh Adokar not playing. Viliami Kikau was out also. We had Jerry pull out late, and he's been lethal on that left-hand side with Adokar. We had Drew Hutchison playing in the centres. It was a little bit of a mess, but they still put out a decent showing against the Roosters. And for the Sharks, well, they had a nice week off, and they don't have any players playing in Origin, so I think you know what that means for me in this one. I do think that this is the part of the season where the Dogs' schedule is going to hurt them. They play a lot of teams coming off a bye this year. They've been successful in the past against some of them, not so successful against others, so it's a bit difficult for me to tip against the Dogs. I really like them at the moment, but the players that are important for them are either coming back from injury or playing Origin in Stephen Crichton and the like. I just think the Sharks are going to be a little bit too strong in this one and continue that winning streak and make it 7 in a row against the Dogs. Let's go to the Sharks, 1-12. I still expect the Dogs to show up on defense. Super Saturday starts with the Warriors taking on the Broncos at Go Media Stadium in Auckland. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Broncos have the better record. They've won 5 out of those last 10 games. It's only a better record because there is a draw in there as well. So the Warriors have won 4, Broncos have won 5, and there has been a draw. So pretty even over those last 10 games. I just do think for the Warriors at the moment, geez, what was last week's performance? I think every Warriors fan wants to erase that from their memory. I just think they haven't, in the last 2 weeks, performed to the level that saw them have a bit of a resurgence through the middle of the season. And this is a period where the Warriors generally do pretty well during the Origin period. And they're coming up against a Broncos side that has a number of players out this week due to Origin and injury. And they are also on a bit of a losing streak themselves and are conceding points in bunches at the moment. I think for the Warriors, they really need a win here. They're sitting in 13th position. It's not looking good. SJ is looking to be out with a hamstring injury, and I actually think that is a positive for them at the moment. Sean Johnson, while he's out there at the moment and can be one of the best halves in the competition on his day, he's not running the ball. He looks like he doesn't even want the ball at the moment. In the first half against the Titans, him and Tamari Martin collectively had 0 runs for 0 meters. That's not good enough for your halves. They need to be challenging the line. They need to be going in and shifting out the back. And it's just, it was lackluster, to say the least, on the weekend for the Warriors. And I can't give them a more scathing review just because I do like the Warriors and I think they have a very strong team. RTS was back into the team. His sin bin, by the way, absolutely ridiculous. And that's a story for another day. But I think they can get back on track here. I'm going to tip the Warriors against the Broncos. I just think the Broncos are going to be a little bit too injury affected, plus Origin as well this week. Warriors to bounce back 1-12. The next game up is the Knights taking on the Eels at McDonald Jones. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Eels have the better record. They've won 6 out of the last 10 games against the Knights. That is also 6 in a row for them. They have not lost to the Knights since 2019, and that's an impressive record for an Eels team that has been struggling over the last 18 months or so. And for my dedicated Knights fans out there who ask me almost every week, does this guy ever tip the Knights? Why do you hate the Knights so much? This surely is the week that you think I'm going to be tipping the Knights. The Eels, they're languishing down in 17th place. Then you'd be wrong. I'm going at the Eels this week. I'm going to tip them to be my Hills Cricket Academy lock of the week. I do think the Eels match up really well with the Knights in this one. I'm hearing that Will Price is actually going to make his debut, and I think that is something that the Eels can exploit. The only Origin player that they have in their team is Mitch Moses. Jermaine Hopgood is actually set to come back as well for the Eels, and that is an added boost for them. I think that the Eels are completely undeserving to be on the bottom of the ladder. Yes, they've had a terrible season, but their side is better than the last team in the comp right now. Let's get on the Eels this week. I think they get it done. 13 plus. Super Saturday concludes with the Storm taking on the Raiders at Amy Park. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Storm have the better record. They've won 6 out of those last 10 games. And I thought last week that, again, they just hung on to that victory and they are finding ways to win constantly. I think their discipline is still a bit of an issue. They do let teams back into games, and then off the back of that, their defense isn't the best at the moment. They are still letting teams score quite a few points, but it's almost a case of, you know what, we'll score more at the moment. Jerome Hughes over the last 2 weeks has been unstoppable since coming back from injury, and it was good to see Pappenhausen get a try on his comeback as well. Hopefully he can stay fit heading into the final series, and they have missed him quite severely. They prove that they don't need Harry Grant as well, and he is going to be, I guess, touch and go for this game. We'll see if he can come back into this one, but that's basically it. That's all they're going to be missing. They should get Remus Smith back for this game as well. Xavier Coates, I'm not too sure on as well, considering his injury history this year. Maybe they might leave him out, but they've got some options there if he does as well. So I just think in this one as well, for the Raiders, man, they've got to have a response. And no doubt Ricky will be 100% disappointed with their last 2 weeks of football. It's possibly the worst that they've played all season. They just were completely lackluster against a team that has been languishing not only at the bottom of the table this year, but over the last 5 years. You would say the Tigers have not been the best team for a long time. And you know, they've got to buck the trend at some point, but why make it you guys? Why make you the team that they are going to target? And the Raiders, they just let them into the game. They've got a great record out at Campbelltown and just didn't back it up. And I don't see them winning this game either. I'm going to go the Storm. 13 plus. Moving on to Sunday's games, and we start at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium with the Dragons taking on the Dolphins. Now, there has been 3 games played between these teams. The Dragons won the first matchup, but the Dolphins have won the last 2, including a 38-0 drubbing earlier this season. And the outlook for both these teams is, I think the Dolphins are playing some great football at the moment. I just think they did have a great win a couple of weeks ago. It was their first win in Sydney for the year, however, but I think coming into this game, they can take a lot of confidence. I don't know if Jack Bostock is going to be there, and he has been a try-scoring sensation this year for the Dolphins. As for St. George, they've got a couple of really key players coming back. Jack Bird should be available for this game, and then Hame Sele should be coming back in as well as Ben Hunt and Lomax, as well as we have the Hammer for the Dolphins backing up from Origin. So we'll see how that all shapes out. The Hammer played last time that Origin was around, as did Ben Hunt and Lomax, and with the game being on Sunday, they're more likely to back up, barring any injury on Wednesday night. I do think in this one that the Dolphins are by far the superior team at the moment. I just think with the Dragons, yes, they're in and around the top 8 conversation, but they're at that point in the season where they normally drop off at this stage and do not become a top 8 threat whatsoever and finish around 13th, 14th, maybe 12th. It could be a positive year for them. But I think the Dolphins get a win in this one and get their second win in Sydney. Dolphins, 13 plus. 4 p.m. Sunday, we're out at Bluebet Stadium for the Panthers taking on the Cowboys. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Panthers have the better record. They've only won 6 out of those last 10 games against the Cowboys. They also had the most recent win against them earlier this year, 26-20. So the Cowboys have some experience in giving it to the Panthers, but I just think the Panthers, they're a little bit injury-riddled at the moment. I'm hearing a nasty little rumor going around that Nathan Cleary will be playing this game. Bloody hope not, just for my Cowboys' sake. Although over the next 9 rounds of the season, the outlook that I have for the Cowboys is quite positive. I do think that we can make a charge and make the top 8 this year. We are a better team than those teams above us right now. I just think that over our last 9 games, 6 of them are going to be at home, and we only just had our first bye as well. So that is extremely positive news for me. We're going to get an extra 4 points, and 6 of our next 9 games are at home. Brilliant. I love that. I just think in this one for the Cowboys, they need to take the L here. I think for Penrith, they're going to be good at home. They're always good at home, and it's a tough place to go to for any team. No doubt my Cowboys will show some fight. That's why I'm only going to back the Panthers in 1-12. The last game of round 17 takes us to Allianz Stadium, where the Roosters take on the Tigers. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, unsurprisingly, the Roosters have the better record. They've won 9 out of the last 10 games against the Tigers, and they've also won the last 7 games in a row. Shooting for 8 this week, but the Tigers are shooting to break history in this one. They're going for an impressive 3 games in a row for the first time since 2018. It's come up a couple of times since then, but since April 15, 2018, they have not won 3 NRL games in a row. Let's hope they can get it done this week. I'm just a little bit iffy on whether they can get it done. I mean, I was iffy on them last week, and I'd like to personally apologize to them last week. I rode them off, and I gave them a very scathing review last week. I do think the win on the weekend was a little bit of a fluke, and, they had a very dominant performance once last year. They beat the Cowboys 66-18, and then didn't win in the game for another 10 games. So anything can happen with the Tigers. I'm not saying that they can't beat the Roosters, but if they come out with the same, vibrance and energy that they did last week, then they can beat any team. But I just think the injuries right now are really weighing on them. Dewey was good in patches on his comeback, and that's great for him. I thought Galvin was outstanding again. It's going to be tough for me to see how they match up against the Roosters. And for the Roosters, they've got 2 guys backing up from Origin. They don't have too many injury worries at the moment, and they put in a good performance last week against the Dogs. I think that Sam Walker is excelling in bundles right now. I think that he should be picked for Origin, or at least in and around that squad, just to get a bit of experience, because he's going to be the halfback for the future for Queensland. And wouldn't you want him exposed to that early when DCE eventually retires, which is going to be in the next 1 to 2 years? So you'd think that they'd want to get Sam in there so that he knows the way the system works, knows the culture, everything. No doubt he's probably been exposed to it at some point as a younger chap, but I do think he's going to be the halfback of the future for a number of years for Queensland, and it's really starting to show. But in this game, I'm going to go the Roosters here, but I think the Tigers keep it close just to keep on form and give themselves a lot to be happy about moving forward. Roosters 1-12. So that's it for my round 17 tips, guys. Let me know what you think about them down in the comments section below. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, and I'll catch you on the next one.